So let's go through those use cases first. So I have a couple here on this slide. So this software is a tool called Connect AI. It connects directly to the ERP data or the QMS data or both. And this is an example of a company that's only 8 million in size, has 40 employees in there. And when you're that size, any project that you take on, really has to make for a good ROI, right? It has to either lower your cost or substantially increase your revenue, so that you're expanding your profit margins, right? So this company is industrial manufacturing, 8 million, 40 employees, and they were in an industry that was pretty unique, and they had a bespoke or a custom piece of equipment that was made many years ago specifically for them. And because of that, it didn't have like a PLC or could not connect directly to the internet, to the local area network. It didn't have that capability. So instead of having sensors on it, giving feedback, it wasn't able to do that. And the problem they had is this machine would break down multiple times a day. And when it did, it would scrap all the material that the job or the work order that was on the machine. So they'd have a higher cost. It would also delay delivery to the customers. And it would mean that they had to reduce throughput, so they couldn't ship out as much as they would have anyways. So it had an effect of reducing revenue and increasing cost. So for $8,000 investing in a couple cameras and the software subscription cost, they were able to solve this problem. So what it did is the root cause they found by going through some 5 why methodology there was that some of the screws or bolts actually on the machine, when a certain speed of the machine happened, they would start backing out due to vibration. So the cameras, there would be 2 cameras, one that would look at the side of it for the depth of the bolts to see if that's changing, and one that would look at it from straight on. And when the vibration happened, it would stop, it would alert somebody and say, hey, this is about to go down, go tighten up those bolts so you don't have that scrap, and you can increase your throughput. So that was one use case. It's using cameras, it's watching for vibrations and patterns, learning those patterns over time. That's where the AI comes in of the vibration. And that's just one example. Another example of using the same tool with these cameras is to be able to take measurements. So over time, if you place a part, say it's a machine part or a cable harness or a cable assembly, it might measure the length. It might look for blemishes. It might need to measure inside, outside diameter using optics. And by AI learning what work order is next on the dispatch list in the ERP, as well as understanding the geometry of each part, what the part looks like, it knows what job it is, it knows what part it is, you put it under, it takes the measurements, and then it just writes back all the quality data without somebody having to do that manually, right to the ERP or QMS system. So two real life examples of this solution using AI to save time, but also reduce cost and improve profitability. Another example is pricing. We worked with a metal extrusion company that, one of their big issues is they had thousands or tens of thousands of SKUs or part IDs. And one thing, they weren't making the margins they wanted on all those products, right? So some of them were making higher margins than they expected. Some were making no margins at all, but they didn't have the data for like the labor, material, burden, overhead cost to know what the margins were at first. Once they implemented the ERP, they did. But the next problem that came about was since they had 10,000 parts, and because there was many variables to their pricing, demand, what those costs were, were the raw material costs going up, was the labor cost going up, what were the trends in demand? It took them many weeks to create pricing catalogs with pricing, I should say, for all those parts. So they would actually lose orders, lose business, because they couldn't give a price back without going to engineering or doing a lot of studying, looking at the data. And with AI, looking at all those variables, raw material costs, trends in demand, labor, material, burden, overhead costs, are they going up, are they going down, price history by quarter, by month, by seasonality, they were able to update those catalogs multiple times a year, and sales reps internally and outside reps could give pricing in an instant, which increased their win rate by over 30%. So that's pricing. Inventory control and planning. This is a capital equipment company, about $20 million company, over a little bit over 100 employees. Actually, they're right under 100 employees. And they spent many hours each quarter manually updating thousands of parts on the part master, the item master, the planning parameters. So what that would happen is, over time, they might get more orders for this or more orders for that. And then it would blow through the bill of material, right? And make sure that you had all the raw materials and sub-assemblies in stock. And unfortunately, if demand spiked or went down quite a bit in some of those parts, they wouldn't go into the part master for all the items in that fully indented bill of material and updated the planning parameters. So in this example, AI would actually watch those trends, watch what's going on with the inventory levels, and it would set the planning parameters in all those parts automatically. So just a few examples. Here's one with, Ocular or OCR and AI working together. So for like an AP three-way match automation, or for expense management, taking a picture of a receipt, reading the data off of it and putting it into expense management. That's an example of OCR working with AI. And traditionally, without AI, you would have to build templates, because every supplier, every customer, or every receipt would have a different acknowledgement form or receipt form format with data in different places, maybe called different things. But with AI, you can get away from having to build all those different possible variations of templates and just have the OCR work to do this automation. So just an example. Other AI tools that are embedded in some of the ERPs that we provide and that are on the market are things like looking at anomalies in GL postings. As the dates don't make sense, do the amounts, the dollar values not make sense? So things of that nature, where it can, do an alert or a warning that, hey, this doesn't look right. And so that way, if it's caught up front and it's more proactive, you can close your books much quicker each month or at the end of year. Forecast intelligence is some of the things that we're working on right now. We have a customer down in Arkansas that's working on forecast intelligence. Other examples like sales and customer intelligence, like the Amazon thing for manufacturers, we're seeing people get into now. And we haven't done it yet, but we're starting to dive into AI on scheduling and shop floor execution. What job should I work on next? And there are tools out there, such as Protected Flow, that can do that right now. So we want to make sure that if you're using AI, it's responsible, practical, and valuable, meaning that it's not increasing your cost substantially and outweighing the benefits, that it actually provides a bottom line return for our customers and for you. So those are some examples, that those real use cases.